director of the film, first of all. She's sort of at the top of the food chain in sitcoms, having created both I'll just say it, The Bitch in Department 23, and Fresh Off the Boat, which just did its 100th episode. And she just was awarded the Mary Pickford Award to an outstanding alum from the cinema school at graduation this year. Let me introduce Nahnatchka Khan. And we have a little bit of a surprise for you. We have one of the writers who happens to be also one of the stars of the movie, Randall Park. He aims to please here. First of all, let me just, and I'm sure it's on behalf of everyone, thank you for making a truly funny movie. Thank you. As I said to you before, for sort of raising the bar on a sort of underserved genre, I think, especially this time of year. So just as a fan, I just thought it was marvelous.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Okay, let's break it down now. Now, I gotta ask you, just the Keanu Reeves thing. How did that? I mean, that's going to be legendary. I mean, that's for a guy to make that kind of ass fun of himself. It's just beautiful. I mean, it was really wonderful. Tell me how it went.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was the dream, right?
He was the nightmare.
The nightmare. The nightmare for Marcus, because we were trying to figure out like who would be Marcus's nightmare in that moment.
Oh, I see.
While
so
he was, he was about to confess his feelings, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm seeing someone. Like, who's the nightmare version?" So we sent it to Keanu's representatives. We had no idea like if he would read it. You know, some of those things just like get lost in the ether sometimes. And then we heard back that he read it and wanted to meet. So we sat down.
So like first pick, and you get.
First pick, exactly.
Wow.
We were planning on him not even responding.
Right.
Yeah.
And
No, you usually when you do those cameos, you start off like Keanu Reeves, and you end up with like Channel 4 weatherman Fritz Coleman.
we had Fritz Coleman on our list.
No, it's always, I've been there. I've on shows you. Oh, we can get him, and then the bar goes lower.
That would be really funny. The hickey guy is Fritz Coleman.
Such a LA deep cut.
Been waiting to use that joke for 25 years. Let me talk a little bit about your relationship, you two guys together, because you worked on a very successful show, wonderful show, 100 episodes. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Syndication is looming. How did this work? How did you? I'm sort of jumping ahead because I want to talk about you working with Eileen and how that worked. But what was the idea? Were you guys working out from the beginning, or did you say, "Well, go to Nahnatchka"? Or?
Well, so Allie and I started writing the outline, and eventually brought in our friend Mike Galamko to help us write the script, and the three of us wrote it together. And actually, Notch was there from the beginning, pretty much. We would send drafts to her, get her thoughts, and she'd give us guidance, and she was kind of there as a consultant and a friend, and helping us with the script. And she was actually attached to another movie at the time.
You were going to direct another movie?
Yeah, I was going to direct another movie that like fell apart at the 11th hour.
We were like, yes!
Yeah, I think Randall was behind it. He's like, "Oh no, your movie." But then I had planned to do it, so my schedule was kind of cleared for it. And then these guys were like, "What about the movie?"
We're like, "Hey, Notch, you want to do our movie?" And she was like, "Sure."
How is that different in terms of your working relationship from FOB? What was, or FOB? Yeah.
Well, I mean, Randall is one of the lead actors on that show, so that's primarily our relationship there. But of course, we became friends. We worked together for 5 years now. We've known each other for almost 6 years. And I knew that he had so many other talents. Like, we would go out and, like, get drunk or whatever, and he'd be like, I used to be in a band. I used to rap. I was like, what? What happened? What happened? So, we became friends, and I knew he was a writer and all that stuff, but, that wasn't our relationship on the show. And so then when these guys wrote the script, it was fun, and produced it, so it was fun to collaborate on that level. So not only are they in front of the camera, but they're behind the camera, with me in Video Village. We're consulting on everything, a lot of decisions we all made together.
So it sounds like just an ideal situation. Any moments when you got a little, where it got a little tasty?
When Randall got a little diva-ish?
Yeah.
I don't think so. No.
It was joyful, like the whole process, and not like on the show, with Notch being the showrunner and me being on set, we actually rarely see each other because she's running the writers' room,
right.
And while we're kind of shooting the show, and different directors come in, and the only time I really see Notch would be when she's either directing an episode or dropping by, and so it was so nice to be able to work with her every day. It was just so fun because, again, we're friends, and I adore her, and it was just a dream.
Same. And it was fun, too, because, I took a step back last season because I was doing this movie, but up until that point I'd edited like 80-something episodes of the show, so I'm very familiar with Randall, like his mannerisms, the way he reacts to things. So it was very familiar to me to come into this, even though it's on a bigger scale and it's a movie and it's a longer story, but I know him very well as a performer, so that was very helpful in editing.
Well, you've had I was looking at a lot of the stuff you're like the Dwayne Johnson of television. You just did a ton of stuff I wasn't, like The Office and a lot of other stuff that, and just, wow, you really worked constantly. Do you say no to anything, or?
No. I'll take anything. You got any student films? I'll do it. Just email me.
Go easy. So, one of the things I loved about this was, I don't know you, and I know Nahnatchka just in sort of cinema school passing. It seems so like I know so much about you now, in a way. You must have been bursting to get a lot of this stuff on the screen, or it sort of, as a writer, it sort of feels that way to me. Like you and Allie just had a whole ton of stuff to talk about and say. And
yeah, I think that came from my friendship with Allie. I've known Allie for a very long time, and we know a lot of things about each other. And just when we got to starting to write the script, those things would just kind of come up as ideas to put into the script, and then just organically make their way into the script. So yeah, a lot of our lives definitely made it in there. Yeah, and even after the script was done, and when it came to production and choosing, deciding what props we'd put on the set and what the house would look like, and it just kind of made sense for us to take from our own lives and make Marcus's house a little bit like my house growing up. And
your mom was a painter.
Yeah.
So Richard Toyan, who might be here tonight, I don't know, is our production designer. Rich! There he is right there.
Stand up, Rich.
Great job. He's also sitting next to Tim Surstrad, who's our DP. These guys are the true artists, I have to say. They're amazing. And so Rich, was inspired by Randall's mom's paintings, and we had paintings done of, obviously, the characters in the movie in the style that your mom used to paint.
Yeah, I mean, I sent actual photos of my mom's paintings to Rich, and I'd show up on set, and those paintings were on the set, and I was like, oh my gosh, I was like moved seeing that. It was crazy.
Well, I think that's one of the real charms of the film. It feels very lived in, and I mean that in the best way. You're immediately sort of comfortable in it, and it feels real and it feels not contrived in any particular way. And the story just flows very nicely. Anyway, I'm a writer, so I'm going, why couldn't I do that? Nahnatchka, what, in terms of your daily kind of work, and you've worked your way in through a very nice career in sitcoms, was it your goal to direct at some point? Did you start out wanting to direct when you were here, or what was your kind of route to this?
I think I was probably one of the few writers in Hollywood who never had any desire to direct. I love writing. I'll always approach everything as a writer, from the script first, from the characters, from the story, jokes, tone, and then at some point along the way, you see it so clearly in your head that it becomes almost easier for you to just be just let me do it. Come on, let me just do it. So it was really, I got into directing to sort of protect the precious words, as I say, because that's the most important thing to me. And so I always think about coming in and out of scenes about the rhythm of the scene, as opposed to shot making, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And the story, you're talking about, making it feel lived in,
right.
Making it seem effortless.
Yeah, you definitely we like to say explored the space.
Right.
There's a lot of great work within the scenes that if Barnett Kellman was here, he'd be talking about that. Another great aspect of it, I wanted to, in a community that is probably underserved in terms of the casting of this. I always say get funny people, and it's helpful, from television. But a lot of times they want the better looking folks. Get me people who are funny. That doesn't mean you can't be good looking and funny, but
Randall was about to be furious.
Yeah.
What are you saying?
No.
Get to it.
No, you did something which to me is a no-no in romantic comedies, is when the lead guy takes his shirt off. That's it's Matthew McConaughey. It's end of funny. It's right there.
I was very. I did not want to do that, but it was a producer on Nathan was you got to take your shirt off. You gotta be. You gotta sell that. You gotta be sexy. I want it hot. and I was why are you wanting it to be so hot, Nathan?
Why are you harassing me right now?
Why are you looking at me like that? And Nathan was because you're an Asian guy, and we don't see that. This is a white guy saying that, and I was do some push-ups.
Well, work your abs for the sequel. We're having fun.
I did get a text from Randall being do you want to airbrush some abs on me? No, it's okay.
I'm gonna CGI some.
Yeah, it's VFX in there.
Let an old guy have some fun. But I want to say the people you found, they seem very fresh. A lot of them, like the parents, Allie's parents, were they?
Peggy and Raymond.
Yeah.
They've been working actors for years.
Really?
They just they just haven't had opportunities to do more than sort of maybe bit parts here and there. But they're super professional. They've been working for decades. James.
Randall was on our show, wasn't he?
We brought him in for a guest spot on our show. And James Saito, who plays Randall's dad.
Right.
That you knew him.
Yeah, I knew of him. I did a co-star years ago on a show called Eli Stone, and because of that co-star, I watched the episode, and he was a regular on that show. And I remember thinking, oh gosh, what an interesting actor. There's something so soulful about him.
Well,
and it turned out this guy had been acting for decades, and it consistently works. And I'd see him in other things throughout the years. And when we were looking for Marcus's dad, I just thought of him, and he was in New York doing theater, and we auditioned him over Skype from New York, and he was just amazing.
Right, and we had a poor connection too, and he was still amazing. So it was good, yeah.
That's right.
Well, let me say thank you again for introducing them to a wider audience.
Thank you. And,
No.
you know, Michelle Buteau is a stand-up who plays Allie's best friend in the movie.
Right.
So
Wonderful.
funny.
So funny. Karen Sony is...
Was she really pregnant?
Michelle? No.
Oh,
That was...
well, it was very felt real.
Who plays Tony, the guy in the band.
Right.
Karen is a hilarious actor. Was in
And
Deadpool.
Charlene Lee was the.
Charlene Yee is in there.
Yee, I'm sorry.
She's
You
amazing.
probably know from a lot of Judd movies, a lot of Judd
Right,
Apatow
yeah.
stuff, and Freaks and Geeks and stuff like
Lyrics Born, one of the other band members. He's like this kind of legendary Bay Area rapper that when we were writing the script, I was like, oh man, it would be so cool if Lyrics Born was playing a member of the band. And we, we reached out, he auditioned, and he turned out to be great, and we got him.
He's got a fun verse too, and they're going to release like a Spotify playlist when the movie comes out. Comes out midnight tonight, by the way, on Netflix.
On Netflix. I'm glad we did it this way instead of like 400 individual phones.
Right. But the Spotify playlist is going to be released as well, and Lyrics has a great lyric on
Yeah.
Hello.
You've got a hit on your hands. Let me open it up for some questions. I don't want to dominate the whole thing. Anybody? Questions? Yes.
Yes, you guys mentioned like you were writing, and I was just curious about like how long the whole process was, like with Allie, like going around to like the
We started, gosh, I'd say the outlining was done in like a month, and then we got to the actual draft, like writing the first draft, and that was I don't know, I'd say like 5 or 6 months before we like finished that draft, and we might have done actually a few drafts in, and then we had kind of this informal table read where we invited just actor friends, and we sat around a room reading it, and that gave us a lot of direction as to like where to take things, and we'd send it to Notch and get notes, and gosh, it was really quick. I'd say less than a year before, and I'd say in less than a year Netflix bought it. Like it was really quick.
Yeah, like Allie was telling the story that she was at Netflix and she met with Scott Stuber, who's head of the film division or whatever, and she was doing she was like, I was doing some bit about Wonder Woman, and she was like pretending to be Wonder Woman or whatever, and Stuber's like, great, I just want to cut to the chase, we want your movie. So he was like, we don't need any bits, like we want to do your movie. And she was sort of thrown, and I think we shot this last summer, hasn't even been a year, so it's been very accelerated, I think.
Yeah, it's super unusual, I think, and it never happens like that. But I think it was just a testament to a lot of things. But Allie's genius and her star power had a lot to do with her relationship with Netflix, and also there was a demand for. I mean, people wanted it like in town because news had gotten out that we were writing this movie, and so we would get calls from other studios. It was so not typical, but yeah, it moved really quickly.
I have a quick question. When you and Allie were writing and your other partner, in the midst, did you watch any old chestnuts from this genre?
No.
Hit it. I mean, you took a lot of the sort of tropes from it, but
Well,
turned it on its ear.
Well, we talked a lot about 2 movies in particular. One of them was When Harry Met Sally. That was like that's like one of my favorite movies. And we talked about Boomerang. We both love Boomerang. And those were definitely in our heads.
That was Eddie
while we were
Murphy.
writing.
Was that Eddie Murphy?
Yeah.
Because you, story-wise, you just you have that moment where it has to go badly, but you're kind of, there's no big turns or anything. It's just sweetly about the 2 people. So it's when it works and you like the people and you care about them, you don't have to plot it out.
And I think visually, when Tim and I were planning like what the film was going to look like, we referenced those classic rom-coms, from the 80s and 90s. When Harry Met Sally, Boomerang, Bridget Jones's Diary, because we wanted it to look romantic. But the story is modern, so the combination of those two things, the story feels lived in, it doesn't feel forced, hopefully you feel like these are people like you actually know. That the combo of that, I think, is what I'm proud of about the movie.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
It seems like this process went super smoothly, and I was just wondering if there were any happy accidents that maybe happened on set that you didn't expect, and if there was anything that you guys maybe had to leave on the cutting room floor that couldn't make it into the film that you really wanted to make.
That's a good question.
There's definitely stuff that is on the cutting room floor that I wish could be in the movie, but we just cut for time. There's a really funny scene where Marcus and Jenny break up after he hooks up with Allie's character, and it just killed me. It was so funny, but at that time,
Vivian Bang, who plays Jenny, she hurt me. She attacked me in the moment, and it was so.
She'd gotten her headshots taken because she was going to be an actress, and then he comes in with the news of we should break up, and she's fine with it. And she's like, that's fine, I'm going to just pursue my dream because you know what, I'm not going to look 22 forever. And then Marcus is like, right, of course, especially because you're not 22, you're 42. And then she attacks him, throws her headshots at his neck, cuts his neck, and he's like, ow! And then she goes crazy. And it was so funny. And he's like, I'm not insulting you, I'm just saying your age. And she's like, stop saying that! Why are you saying that?
Boy, when you throw stuff like that out, it's...
Hopefully Netflix has some sort of extras or something, they can put it somewhere.
And the question was there any things that just sort of came out spontaneously within,
there were some scenes where we the post-sex scene where we're laying in the car, that in the script that was just a line or two. And we ended up just playing for what seemed like hours, and it was so fun. And pretty much what you see in the scene was just us playing. And I hope they release that too, because there was just so many ridiculous things said in that car.
And there's no there's not one frame beyond what's in there, because the next frame, one of them starts laughing. So I used as much as I could, and then had to cut between angles.
No. Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for such an entertaining movie, which I will be watching again. I have to ask, who wrote the lyrics to the Hello Carol songs?
Good question.
Randall?
Me. And then Lyrics Born wrote a verse for one of the songs, and then the songs were produced by this legendary Bay Area producer named Dan the Automator, and we really wanted to get a specific sound, and he is very kind of well versed in that era of hip hop music, and but also this was a live band, so we had to kind of limit the instruments to four different instruments, and we just gave him the parameters, and he sent us back this music that was just so perfect.
You're a graduate of Handsome Boy Modeling School.
That's right. The Handsome Boy Modeling School. That was Dan the Automator's one of his kind of side projects, and they made me a graduate at one of the shows. That's
Straight to.
First of all, thank you for making a great movie. I was going to ask something to Randall. Nahnatchka just mentioned about how she started off writing and how she wanted to protect the writing, and so that's how she wanted to become a director. I was wondering, after writing this great movie, do you feel the need or inspiration to become a director?
I'd like to do that. I definitely would like to do that one day.
You'd be great at it.
I mean, watching her was such a, it was like a masterclass in so many aspects of directing, and it was really inspirational for me to just sit near her and watch her do her thing. And definitely, at some point.
Like to answer a lot of questions all day? That's for you. Some more? Can't see.
Right here. This lady right here.
Yeah, go.
I just want to say first off, thank you so much for putting a lot of like Asian American moments in there. Having like the parents show up at the door and you're like, how'd you find us? Like I feel like as an Asian American, my parents have Find My Friends on my iPhone, and so they'll know where I'm at all the time. And I just really appreciate those little moments. And I was also wondering for each of you, what was your favorite moment in that film, and what did you think was also the most fun to film?
Well, I mean, the most fun, the whole movie was so fun because I was working with my friends, and that's like always been my dream, to work with my friends. And not just Ali and Nach, but Mike Alamko's an old college friend, and he co-wrote it. And Vivian Bang, I was in a theater group with her like ages ago. It's like it was such a just a joyous experience. I mean that car scene was so fun. It was just a real fun night.
I really like the walk and I have a lot of favorite scenes, but I like the walk and talk through Chinatown after the dim sum restaurant, and the dim sum restaurant, honestly. That was really fun too. All those women in that scene actually worked there, so they weren't actors or anything, and a lot of them didn't speak English, they spoke Cantonese, so we had a Cantonese speaking translator on set, and I remember trying to explain the joke to the one woman who comes over with the dim sum. I'm like, trying to relate, through the translator, be like, so you're giving it to him, and then she tries to take it, and you don't want her to have any, and she didn't get it, and then you could see she got it, like she understood the joke, and she laughed so hard, and she nailed it every single time. She was so excited to do it.
Thanks for a great film. Some more? Hands up. Yes, right here.
What is the strategy for getting this to international audiences, like as far as like marketing and stuff?
Well, I think it drops globally. We were talking to Netflix, so it drops worldwide midnight Pacific time. So it'll be available in all the countries Netflix is available in, which I think is, I have no idea what that number is if Cynthia's in here, but what is it? Over 190, she said.
Well, so I guess my question was, are you doing talks in other countries?
Oh.
That kind of thing, like some sort of marketing campaign.
Are we, Cynthia?
Cynthia, are you flying us to France? Like where, are we going to Brazil? What's happening? Are we going to do like talks and stuff, international markets?
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. We did have a junket here where they flew in journalists from other countries, and they interviewed us for their publications. Yeah.
I guess as an experienced writer, how much of the writing do you allow people, very talented people like Randall, to improvise? Like how much improvisation do you allow on set?
I mean, I definitely plan for that. I think for me, something that I've always done that I found very helpful is you get the scene the way you want it, and you have your jokes that you feel good about on the page, but you also, I like to have alt jokes on the day prepped. So every morning, the actors who are shooting that day go into their trailer and they see the alt side. So you have the joke that's in the script, and you have maybe 3 other jokes to try. And that's almost like a gateway to the improv, because first, as the writer, you don't have to kill yourself to craft the perfect joke, and then you also don't have to cross your fingers that you're going to find gold in improv, because sometimes you don't. So you want some options and choices. So you get it as scripted, you get the alt jokes, and then you have time to allow for improv, especially when you've got people who are so funny. It's almost like, what a crime to not allow them to do what they do best. And when Tim and I were planning our shot list too, we tried to cross shoot as much as possible in scenes where it wouldn't compromise the look, so we could get that improv rhythm. We wouldn't have both cameras on him, and then Ali does something super funny, and then we've got to try to turn around and get that on the other side. So it's like I had a camera on him, a camera on her, and they could just run with it.
That one scene where Karin and I are in my bedroom, and I'm on we're on our laptops, and I mean, if you can't really script that dialogue, it was just
right.
like that was one where it was cross shot, and we were just playing a lot.
Right, where you were like, why did you bail on dinner?
Yeah, he's like, what? And like, if you saw that on a page, it'd be like, this makes no sense. But Notch just let us play so much, and it was great fun.
And great actors. Some more? Is that it?
Hi, I'm echoing everybody in the room. That was a fantastic movie. Thank you so much for putting that out. This is a question for Nahnatchka. As you said, this is your feature film directorial debut. Was there anything going into the shoot that you were afraid of that ended up being kind of alleviated on set, or something that came up on set that you could not have prepared for and you just had to roll with it?
Yeah, I mean, a couple of things. Well, the farmers market scene, we shot that in San Francisco at the Civic Center, and it's a real farmers market twice a week. And we could control it when we went in. We controlled some of it, but not all of it. So I didn't know how that would play. I didn't know if we were gonna, if people were just gonna be staring into the lens and every shot's gonna be ruined. And they could not have cared less that we were there with our cameras. They were there for like the radishes, you know what I mean? And actually, the take that I used when Sasha sees Marcus and she's like, hey, and she gets like jostled by two Asian women. Those were real shoppers. They didn't see the camera. They didn't see Allie or Randall. They were just like,
yeah, there were cameras and lights all around, and they did not care.
They didn't care. And then just one other thing was it got shortened in the final cut, but there was a scene where the two little kids were on a bench looking out at the bridge at night, and in the script they were talking about what they were going to do with their lives. And that night was so foggy that the foghorns kept going off every 10 seconds, and I couldn't get, like, our sound guy was going to kill himself. He's like, I'm going to jump into the ocean. And I couldn't get it clean. So I would just, a testament to those kids, like they'd be running the scene, foghorn, so I'd have to pause, and then I'd have to say, okay, like, just resume where you left off just to get one clean pass. It took forever. Our script pages were falling apart because everything was wet. Could not have predicted that one.
Got time for a few more? Way back, yeah.
Hi, I just wanted to say first how simple it was. It's like a little Easter egg of that lady holding two girls with their shoes off and then walking across the room and just put it back on again. And it's just like very much jokes like my friends have definitely have gotten like made fun of or like do it and stuff like that. Bring them to school and going to sit next to us. So it's my question. So in the past, a lot of critics have said, oh, like Asian stories won't work on screen, like like people won't be able to make a connection, like, and I completely disagree with that. I just wanted to see like what your thoughts on that are, and like how any of the possible like keeping like staying authentic to like Asian culture, but still making sure like people who aren't as familiar with culture can still like making sure that the comedy still like goes through.
I mean, I think that the commitment to the authenticity actually like makes it more interesting to people on the outside, but also like in a way more relatable, because these are they come from a very human place, these aspects of their lives, and really there's like versions of everything in every culture that are kind of identifiable in some way. And I think that when I started acting, that's all I hear is well, yeah, these stories they won't play over here, or they won't be relatable, or but I think we're finding out now, finally, that that's totally BS,
Well, specifics. It's like your specific might not be mine, but the specificity of your thing I identify with, like the parents.
Right.
You said my parents were like that. My father was the same thing. What you pay for the, and it's not, I'm obviously not Asian, but I right away I identify with it. So it's putting it out there. That's great.
Yeah, for sure, definitely.
Yeah. Right there.
I was wondering, as well as your success, like obviously you wrote writers, but when you were doing kind of other jobs, like before you got to this level, do you feel like your writing process has changed? Like, can you set aside whole days now, or is it still like I'm working on all these things, and kind of like you can just talk about that a little bit, how it's changed over the years?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's funny that you say that because like when I do have full days to write, I feel like it's such a gift because there are a lot of things that get in the way, and it's I'm very grateful, and it's great problems, but I found that like the more you get to do the thing that you love the most, you tend to get farther away from that thing. You know what I mean? Like you start to get more and more responsibilities that have nothing to do with writing, and it's a great thing to have because that means you're successful or whatever. But you have to definitely, for me, I have to set aside time, and I go into some sort of like K-hole when I write because I lose track of hours, you know, and I don't like to be interrupted because it's hard to get it back. So I try to get, you know, mornings, sometimes afternoons, but a whole day is ideal and preferred.
Some more?
This lady right here?
Yeah.
Where did the tennis ball idea come from?
I don't know. I don't remember who came up with that, but yeah, it was just we were trying to think of the most random, like worst piece of merch for this type of band, and yeah, it just kind of. I mean, I'm sure in the writers' room we would just bounce back. But that was, well, we would bounce back and forth just like ideas and kind of constantly try to one up each other. This is how Allie and I. How we are in like everyday life. We're just constantly like trying to one up each other and make each other laugh, and that's what happened when we were trying to come up with these things. And I'm sure one of us took it to like a super ridiculous place, or we had to kind of pull it back a little bit. But yeah, it just came out of us just having fun.
Okay, I think we got time for like two more if we want. Right there.
I really love the integration of the music, and I was just wondering whose idea it was to like end with Mariah Carey and like being able to choose those different songs. Like, was that your guys' idea or someone else on your crew?
No, that was us, and you know, the title came from, you know, a play on her song, so we knew we wanted it in the movie at some point. We didn't know when, and it just made sense to have it, you know, at the very end when you reveal, you know, Judy's way and everything like that. It just played really nicely, and then Randall wrote the final song, the I Punched Keanu Reeves song, and we knew. Yeah, and so it was set up by that final joke, right? Of like, do you think everybody knows I punched Keanu Reeves? She's like, maybe you should write a song about it, which was an alt joke, by the way. Going back to what I was saying before, that was one of the alts that we had scripted. And somewhere along the way, late in the process, I think after our audience test screenings, someone was like, oh, we should do a song over the end credits. Tendo, yeah, one of the Netflix execs. And so then it became, so Randall wrote it, then it became how do you get out of Mariah into Randall? And also like on Netflix, right, so as soon as credits roll, they normally kind of make your thing small, and then like the next thing comes up, and it's like in 10 seconds, whatever. So they were like, because they loved the song that Randall did so much, they were like, we're going to let it play longer. Yeah.
Last one. Yes, sir.
Will you make a music video for that song?
I don't know. Cynthia?
That's Larry Marcus.
Maybe. I mean, there was some discussion at one point of that, actually. So we'll see.
Write this baby forever. Are you kidding? Okay, well, you know, I just found one thing I had to say to Nahnatchka. I was doing some research on you, and I realized we had the same hero back in the 80s, the Iron Sheik.
You like the Iron Sheik?
I love the Iron Sheik.
Oh my God.
The Camel Clutch was
the Camel Clutch.
The Camel Clutch.
For sure.
Yeah, he was a
Gene
wrestler.
Mean?
He was a big wrestler around the time.
He was a Persian wrestler who was like a villain everywhere except for my house.
Yeah. That was what was wonderful about it. It's like he was like the typical wrestler, who, you know, the sort of jingoistic character, you know, that you know, everyone's supposed to hate, except she grew up in a house, in an Iranian house, so he was a hero.
I mean, I encourage everyone to go to his Twitter because he's a comedic genius.
Yeah.
That's underappreciated.
The only difference was you were watching it, you were 7 and I was 37. Which says something about
that
me.
would have been weird
if
we were together.
Well, listen. That's why she's got 100 episodes and I'm going home. Thank you guys. So proud of you from here. This guy went to UCLA, but he's an honorary Trojan. Great success. I hope you have.
Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Great.